For those of you I haven't met, my name is Brian Wild. I am the Chief Government Relations Officer here at NAW. I'm proud to lead your team of lobbyists as we walk the halls of Congress and are your voice here in Washington, D.C. On the victories that we've had, one of the biggest things we did this year is we launched NAW's Legal Policy Center. And what the Policy Center allows us to do is it allows us to take your voice into the courts and push back against some of the burdensome regulations that these agencies have done over the last several years. And we found some quick successes. To start off with, NAW sued the Department of Labor over their new overtime rule, and the U.S. District Court agreed with us that DOL had overstepped their constitutional authority, and they struck down that rule. That overtime rule would have not just cost you more money, but it would have brought strife to your workplace, changed your team dynamic, and really impacted the company culture of a lot of NAW members. In addition to that, we successfully supported a lawsuit to overturn the FTC's non-compete ban. This was a national ban on all non-competes, and we were able to overturn that. Allows you to continue to have the kind of relationship that you've had with your employees as you've had over the last several years. We've also lent our voice to two different cases against the NLRB, which has really been expansive in their authorities. One was Starbucks versus McKinney. A second case was Home Depot versus NLRB. And in each case, we're able to rein in those federal regulators. On top of that, we've gone beyond just U.S. District Court, and we're actually already in front of the Supreme Court. So the U.S. Supreme Court in the fall agreed to take up a case of EMD Sales versus Carrera. Now, EMD Sales is near and dear to us because they're a food distributor. The case itself is over the definition of outside salespeople. And our voice was unique in being able to explain how distributors use outside salespeople and how this is going to impact the way we do business going forward. Now, we don't know the outcome of that case, but we do know the Supreme Court appreciated hearing directly from NAW and the LPC. Beyond courts, we continue to be a powerhouse in lobbying. NAW is well known in DC for punching above our weight and making sure that your voice is heard on issues. A couple things that we've had success on is the Corporate Transparency Act. Now, the Corporate Transparency Act is a law on the books that would require every beneficial owner of a business to register with CINFIN. This is not only burdensome, but somewhat scary that you're registering with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Agency. We've won both at the court level and recently, legislatively, to delay the implementation of the Corporate Transparency Act for a year. We also successfully lobbied the SEC to remove Scope 3 of their climate disclosure rule. Now, Scope 3 would have impacted anybody in the wholesale distribution space. You would have had to register the environmental impact of your products, both upstream and downstream. So we managed to get that struck from the SEC's rule, which I think is a major victory for us. We're also on the defensive. So warehouses are under attack right now at the state level and at the federal level. One piece of legislation we've successfully prevented from moving forward is the Warehouse Worker Protection Act. The Warehouse Worker Protection Act specifically would create an office in the Department of Labor with nothing but oversight over warehouse employers. In addition, it expands FTC's authority to look at every merger and acquisition that happens in warehouses. It brings back the ergonomic rule, and it changes how you can use technology in your workplace to bring back efficiencies. This has been supported by Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate. We managed to make sure it didn't go any further, and we're continuing to lead as a coalition on that. Also on the defensive side is the upcoming tax debate. So we know that in 2025, half of the tax code expires. Anything that impacts individuals and those pass-through companies, S-corps, that part of the code disappears at the end of 2025, including the small business deduction. So we got ahead of the ball and have led efforts to get 227 co-sponsors, again, bipartisan co-sponsors, to support permanently enacting the small business deduction, which is known as 199 Cap A. In addition, we are the leaders of the LIFO Coalition. So for those distributors that use last in, first out accounting, this is a major provision, could cost you a lot if that accounting mechanism disappears. We are the leaders of the effort. We have 35 trade association and corporate members in our coalition that are up there defending LIFO and really are the tip of the spear there. And we have great relationships. One thing I want to highlight, NAW has famously had good relationships with members of Congress, especially leadership, and that's remained the same. Even with leadership changes that have happened in the House, when Kevin McCarthy stepped down as Speaker and Mike Johnson became Speaker, we maintain those relationships. I've known Mike Johnson personally since he first was elected to Congress. I've known John Thune, who's going to be the new Majority Leader in the Senate, since he was a House member over a decade ago. Our relationships were so good that we were able to take our board of directors in to meet with Speaker Johnson in his first month of the speakership. We were one of the first groups that he met with. Also, our board met with Mr. Emmer, Republican Whip's office, and really helped guide policy going forward. But we go now beyond just federal issues and beyond the courts. We're also in the states. This year, we launched a state monitoring practice. It really looks at trends that are happening right now in 9 of the most active states that are doing regulations on businesses. We're going to expand that even further next year, making sure that you're up to speed on what is happening at the state level that could threaten your business and what could be an opportunity for growth there. And all of this couldn't happen without being politically engaged. For our members, they know a lot about the PAC. I hope that you all participate in our political action committee. This year, we were able to raise just over $300,000, and we managed to give that out to over 100 candidates. And we get involved early. This isn't money that we're just giving to anybody out there. This is pro-business leaders, Republicans and Democrats alike, that we endorse early, and we continue to keep our efforts in until they win election. And we had great success this year, bringing a pro-business majority to both the House and the Senate. This is all because of you. All of these successes, all of these victories that we've had are because people want to hear from distributors. You are the core of the supply chain. Your voice matters. And I have the luxury of being able to expand your voice here in DC. And what's better than me talking is when we get our members directly engaged at the leadership level and talking to members of Congress. And this year, J.D. Ewing, CEO of Code Distributing, testified in front of the Small Business Committee in Congress on how inflation and the economy are impacting distributors specifically. In addition to that, we had several members of Congress visit your facilities around the country. So they came to you, did warehouse tours, wore hard hats, and started to really understand the industry. And that's one of the core things of us moving forward. Again, you guys are the key to our success. We've had a lot of victories.